Batman has a lot of great villains. They're a part of what makes him so good. At first, when you think about Batman villains, you might think of the Joker. And yeah, the Clown Prince of Crime, he is a great villain. But today, we're going to be talking about the Master of Fear, Scarecrow. What makes Scarecrow such a good villain? Scarecrow is one of many in Batman's rogues gallery. He is one of Batman's most popular villains, also known as Jonathan Crane. He was abused and bullied in his youth at school, and he became obsessed with fear. He ended up developing his halogenic drug, fear toxin, to terrorize Gotham and exploit the phobias of its protector, Batman. Scarecrow's first appearance was in the comics during September 1941. The thing is that Scarecrow and Batman both use fear as a weapon. They also both dress up in scary costumes. The way Batman uses fear is making his villains scared and afraid of him. The first time I ever saw Scarecrow and found out who he was in Lego Batman 2. It was during the boss fight. And I also remember in Free Roam, you get to fight him inside a pumpkin. I remember thinking he was cool and I found him interesting. I think he had a great Lego character design. A huge and great part that makes Scarecrow such a great villain is his fear toxin. He keeps it in a skull capsule or gas sprayers on his wrist. It's usually green, but in Batman the Animated Series they made it red, since they wanted it to look different from Joker's laughing gas that was already green. His fear toxin is so powerful because it makes someone who's exposed to it experience hallucinations of their biggest fears. His fear toxin is such a creative and unique weapon, and it's been portrayed and used in so many different ways across video games, movies, and TV shows, making it such an interesting part of his character and a very powerful weapon. In Batman the Animated Series, at first, Scarecrow had a design that I did not like that much, and many other people thought the same, including people who made the show. So they later changed the design to make him look more detailed, and this design is great. He looks a whole lot more expressive, and they gave him yellow straw for hair. His face also looks a lot scarier. But in the other animated series, the new Batman Adventures, Scarecrow looks way different. This version of Scarecrow is all black, and he looks extremely intimidating and scary. This design is great though, and I like it a lot. It's a very unique design, and I think it's another one of Scarecrow's best designs. Also, in Injustice 2, Scarecrow has a really cool character design. It's another one of his absolutely terrifying designs. It's also got to be another one of my favorites. In Injustice 2, he's actually voice acted by the guy who plays Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund, which just makes this version of Scarecrow even cooler. Now let's get into the Arkham games. In Arkham Asylum, Batman sees Officer Gordon calling for his help in a panic. He later finds Officer Gordon lifeless. The thing is that Batman is actually only experiencing this because he's been exposed to Scarecrow's fear toxin. He later finds his parents in body bags, and they talk to him, saying and how they want his help. And Scarecrow's inside of it, jump scaring Batman. Then you realize the setting has changed. The atmosphere has completely changed. You are now in a boss fight with Scarecrow, the first Scarecrow nightmare. And Scarecrow is now a giant. He's huge. And this boss fight is a great, amazing boss fight. One of my favorites in the Arkham games. And as Batman, you have to make sure Scarecrow doesn't see you, and then you eventually get to the light and shine it on Scarecrow to beat him. After this, the next time you encounter Scarecrow, all starts when Batman is just walking down the hallways in Arkham Asylum, and clearly he is feeling the effects of Scarecrow's fear toxin because he's going through a nightmare, and he's hearing his parents, and he's seeing and re-experiencing his parents' death. And a very cool part is that when he sees his parents on the ground, he turns into young 8-year-old Bruce Wayne, all sad about what's happened to his parents. Batman keeps walking down the hallway, experiencing this second Scarecrow nightmare. He turns back into himself, regular Batman, but has started another boss fight with Scarecrow. And this is the second Scarecrow nightmare. It's like the same process as before. You eventually reach the light and you shine it on Scarecrow once again to beat him. The next time you encounter Scarecrow, it all starts. The screen of your game freezes like a game error, but it's just a fake glitch that Scarecrow made. And then the game restarts from the beginning when Batman is taking Joker to Arkham Asylum. But this time, Joker is driving Batman to Arkham Asylum. And when you get there, you're playing as the Joker, walking with Harley Quinn and some other villains. You eventually finish walking down the hall, and Scarecrow's there waiting. Then you go into one last big final boss fight with Scarecrow, the final nightmare, the third and last Scarecrow nightmare. It's a little bit different than the past two, and it's a little bit harder, and then you finally shine the light on Scarecrow for the last and final time to beat him. And immediately, right after the boss fight, a cutscene starts where Batman is grabbing Scarecrow through bars in the asylum, and Scarecrow is trying to pull away. He's trying to get away from Batman, and he shoves his fear toxin needles into Batman. Batman then gets away, and so does Scarecrow. Then Batman finds himself in the sewers, and Scarecrow appears, showing he has a bag that Batman wants, and he's threatening to drop it in the sewer water. Then Killer Croc comes out of nowhere, swimming towards Scarecrow from the water, jumping out and grabbing Scarecrow. Batman tries to stop Killer Croc by shocking him with an electric batarang, and then Killer Croc jumps back into the water with Scarecrow. This is the last we see of Scarecrow in Arkham Asylum, but at the end of the game, you can see a cutscene where you see Scarecrow coming out of the water like he will return in a future game, which we obviously know now he does. Now let's move on to, I'm gonna say it, my favorite Batman game, Arkham Knight. Scarecrow, he is pretty much the main villain of this game. He's the main villain of the main story, and he is a phenomenal villain in Arkham Knight. He was already a great villain, and I loved him in Arkham Asylum, but let me take you through Scarecrow in Arkham Knight and his revenge. So, the game starts off with you in a diner being a police officer, just ordering some food, and just some regular customer noticed somebody sitting in the corner booth smoking inside the diner. So the officer gets up and he goes and checks what the disturbance is. He tries to get the attention of the guy in the corner booth smoking, and immediately the guy grabs the cop and he looks like Scarecrow. His face looks very similar to Scarecrow's mask. And this is supposed to actually be Jason Todd. The cop is now affected by Scarecrow's fear toxin, and he falls on the ground from this guy who jumped at him. And when he gets up, he notices there's so many of these creatures in the store that look like the guy who just jumped at him, that looks like Scarecrow. And he starts getting attacked by more of them, trying to save himself with his gun. Then after this, we get a cutscene where the whole city of Gotham gets broadcasted a video of Scarecrow warning Gotham. And let me tell you, when this happens, the atmosphere, the setting, it's amazing. The quality is great, and it's super entertaining. The first time I played this, I was fully engaged, which just shows how great of a villain Scarecrow is. And you can feel how truly terrifying it is, how much of a threat Scarecrow is. The next time we encounter Scarecrow in Arkham Knight, Batman finds him in his hideout in Ace Chemicals. Batman thinks that he's got Scarecrow, but as Batman starts beating up Scarecrow, Scarecrow says that he should let him go, or else Barbara Gordon will die. Batman, finding this out, releases Scarecrow and gets in contact with Batgirl. But as he contacts her, quite quickly, the communication breaks up, and Scarecrow escaped as Batman was distracted. Scarecrow being able to outsmart Batman like this shows how smart and intelligent of a villain he is. Moments later, he starts seeing two Scarecrows and Joker's talking to him. This is only in his mind though, it's not actually real. Since he was infected with Joker's blood, he's seeing these things happening. Later in the game, Batman soon finds Scarecrow again with Officer Gordon, and Scarecrow's on the roof of a building. Scarecrow tells Batman that it's time. Batman wonders what is he talking about. And then Officer Gordon points the gun at Batman because he's helping Scarecrow to get his daughter, Barbara Gordon, back. Since Scarecrow has her, she's brought out on the rooftop with them. Scarecrow telling Officer Gordon that he has to shoot Batman and then he'll get his daughter back. So Officer Gordon, making the hard decision to betray his ally, shoots Batman. But Scarecrow, he was lying. He gets Officer Gordon held back and restrained to watch Barbara get pushed off in her wheelchair, the roof of the building. Scarecrow, acting absolutely twisted and creepy, but intelligent at the same time as all this is happening, trying to get to Barbara and scare her. Barbara says she's not scared, and then Scarecrow pushes her off the roof. As she's falling, Batman saves her, and she ends up being fine. This is another part of the game that shows how intelligent Scarecrow really is, since, once again, he sort of outsmarted Batman in a way, and at the same time, he's so unpredictable. Batman has just gotten back to the Batcave when he realizes Robin is gone. He was taken by Scarecrow. Scarecrow contacts Batman, trying to get to Batman that he was the one that locked Robin in the cell, and that it's his fault, since Batman was scared. Then Scarecrow tells Batman he must surrender or else his friends will die, and he has to get ready to take off his mask. Batman gets to the location where he has to surrender, taking off his belt and then getting in a truck. Then we see the truck driving to Arkham Asylum. Then we see Scarecrow at the truck doors when Batman arrives in the truck. He brings Batman inside, and Batman still believes that he has a chance, even though it seems like Scarecrow's won for good. Scarecrow says he doesn't care who Batman really is, but Gotham, they will, which shows how evil he is, since he's only doing it because he believes Batman's scared, and he wants all of Gotham afraid and in fear. Scarecrow then demands Officer Gordon to unmask Batman himself. Officer Gordon doesn't want to do it, but Batman tells him it's fine. Then Batman is unmasked, being broadcasted live, being revealed to be Bruce Wayne, and letting everybody in Gotham know who he really is. But Batman, at this point, doesn't seem to give up and lose hope. We end up going through that big Joker and Batman boss fight, since Joker's in Batman's mind, due to Batman obviously being infected with Joker's blood. Then Scarecrow tries to inject his fear toxin into Batman, but it has no effect. And I believe the reason for this is probably because Joker's infected blood has taken full control of Batman, and the Joker would not have been affected by Scarecrow's fear toxin. Scarecrow then puts a gun to Batman's head, saying, "Without fear, life is meaningless," since he believes everybody should have fear. Jason Todd, or Red Hood, comes out of nowhere, shooting the gun out of Scarecrow's hand, assisting Batman, then freeing Batman by shooting a lock off. Then Scarecrow rushes over to Batman, but it's too late. Batman grabs a panicking Scarecrow. Even though Scarecrow was able to show how smart he was and set all of this up in such a clever way, Batman then still manages to win at the end and injects Scarecrow with the fear toxin. And Scarecrow is afraid. He's now experiencing fear, seeing a version of Batman that he's scared of. Then he starts screaming out of fear and takes a clean left hook from Officer Gordon, falling to the ground. Scarecrow has now been stopped. But this game shows why Scarecrow is such a great villain. He was able to outsmart Batman so many times, be so unpredictable, so interesting, have such an entertaining storyline, have so many great aspects, and really show what fear does to people and how it can control a person. Batman then brings Scarecrow to GCPD, and Scarecrow, he's now in a scarred state, still in fear, shaking. Just seeing Scarecrow in that state now is crazy, but most importantly, experiencing fear himself, which I believe to be his own biggest fear, and really is a taste of his own medicine. And at the end of the game, it's almost like Batman started using Scarecrow's fear toxin himself, which just shows how even more of a great villain Scarecrow is, because he creates something that Batman actually decides to use himself, which just shows how important Scarecrow really is. This is why Scarecrow is a great villain. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Scarecrow is a great villain, and why? Or why not? Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. I really would appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next Cosmic Chaos video. Bye.